Hey everybody, Eric Dorward here with the Spartan Rocketry Club, and I'm continuing the finishing process here on my Estes BOSS. And so in the intervening time, I finished the prep work basically. I ended up using, I sanded down the wood fill, and then I put some sanding sealer on. I only really focused that on this fin since it's the only one with a lot of exposed grain. It's ultimately, I mean, it's not as good as it could be. It probably should have used, I should have used 2 coats. There's still some noticeable grain in it, but I'm not really terribly worried about that, to be honest. Um, Otherwise, these nacelles here, the engine pods, they look pretty good. After that, I sanded that off. I primed it with primer spray paint, sanded that off. Really, again, just this fin and a little bit on the pods. These pylons in here, they're really hard to get to, so I didn't worry about that too much. They're not really very noticeable, and honestly, just looking at it, I don't really see a lot of noticeable grain in it anyway. The ugliness, if there is any, is still in the fin, and what are you going to do? I did then spray paint it gloss white, which is most of the work that needs to be done. I was very careful. It took 2 coats to do this part because there's so many little things here. It's pretty easy to get a run in the paint when there are a lot of different things kind of overlapping each other. So the coat is okay but not great. One thing I wish I would have done is on the edge of the big circular part, you might be able to see there are a lot of little pits in it. I probably should have filled this with something. I ended up sanding off the primer, but that doesn't really do the trick. Really, I probably should have used a little bit of wood fill, a little bit of the excess to patch this stuff in. It is kind of noticeable and kind of off-putting. I didn't do it at the time though, mostly because I was worried about messing up the top part here, which, looks fine, I guess, because it's got the paper on it. But again, the paper part doesn't reach to the edge of the wood, which is kind of odd. I would have thought that the paper would have been bigger than the edge, and then I would have trimmed the edge off. So I'm not entirely sure why the designers made that choice, but whatever, it's fine. So this hopefully will be a fairly short video. The only bit of painting that needs to be anything other than white is right here where all these little wood bits are. And these, by the way, too, probably could have benefited from having a bit of wood fill just on the edges to fill in the pits. This stuff's going to get painted black, so hopefully that'll be less obvious. So I'm going to mask this off. I'm going to use my Ultra Sharp Lines tape, which is kind of fabric-y. It kind of has a feel of duct tape, but it's not. It doesn't stick as vigorously. So I'm just going to put this right along the edge here and then wrap it around, and that's going to mask off, hopefully, the upper part. And boy, that was close. I just barely got enough of this tape. Probably should go more rather than less, but it barely covered. And I'm going to try to smooth it out here. Definitely a good idea to wait like a day or two at least before putting this on, because you don't want the paint, the tape to rip the paint off, which is a distinct possibility. Now this part right here is too narrow, right? My big wide nice tape isn't going to fit there, so well, I'm going to run the risk of, I'm going to use this is just sharp line. It's more like masking tape. It's slightly better than the average painter's tape, but still, I would rather use the ultra sharp stuff. But honestly, I've had a hard time sourcing that recently. It might have been discontinued by our good friends at 3M. If so, that would be unfortunate because I liked it a lot. It was kind of my go-to, and as you can see, I am running low on it. So I'm going to have to make do with this stuff in the future. Alright, so that's masked off. I'm going to, again, press this tight. Ooh, there's a bubble. Bubble's not good. Don't like bubbles. That's how the paint gets underneath the tape. So I definitely need to smooth that down. I wanted this part right here is the interface, right? That's where I need to paint, and that's where I need to be very careful about letting the paint in. Alright, so that's smoothed out. That should be fine. Yeah, like I said, there's not a whole lot to this. Now, in order to mask off the rest of the rocket, I'm just going to get some paper. You know, like I've got a report of some sort that I wrote, first draft, and I'm just going to wrap it around like this. In fact, I might as well do that now. For this, I'm going to use my just kind of a general purpose masking tape, because this is, you know, this stuff, while it is called masking tape, I don't use it to actually mask. I only use it for sticking stuff to other stuff, because I don't, you know, it's fine, I guess, for sticking things together, but it doesn't do a particularly great job in its stated role. If you want to mask something off to paint it, you should probably use painter's tape. Alright. So I'm just going to cover things. I'm actually going to take try to take the nose cone off. Ooh, that's pretty stuck. Oh, it's taped. There we go. Yeah, I taped the other end. Let's actually unroll that, because that was kind of dumb. There we go. I take the nose cone off so it doesn't get, you know, any kind of accidental, like, misfire. That would be annoying. Anyway, wrap it up. It'd be nice to have it wrapped in a, you know, like aligned, but it doesn't really, makes no difference. This part's the easy part. The bottom part, that's going to be, geez, there we go. That's going to be a little bit more difficult. It's going to be a little bit more difficult because there's, well, the standoff for the launch lug, and there's all this other stuff down here. So that, well, that's going to be a little tougher. Try to take enough tape here for 3 pieces this time. Oops. Just put some slightly off camera so I have it. Alright, anyway, yeah, so this isn't going to quite fit, which, you know, that's okay. We'll make it work. But it's going to be a little bit harder. That's fine. The only thing we really need to be, I'm going to actually move this down a little bit. The thing we need to be careful about here is making sure there aren't any little spots where the paint can peek through. And in wrapping this up, you know, because there's so much stuff going on back here, it is going to be tough to make sure that everything is covered well. So I'm going to try to tape it in a couple different places. And this is just to keep it closed. There we go. Now I had, that wasn't very accurate. I had a little tape leaching in, and I also have the paper kind of a little too far as well. Alright, that ought to do. This is, you know, a surprising amount of work to just paint this little section black, but that's how it's going to have to be. Alright, so I'm going to paint this like right now, not on camera because it's not really an option, but in any event I'm going to paint it like immediately, and hopefully I can get this done in 1 coat, but I think I'm going to err on the side of doing 2 because there's so much stuff here. Again, this is like, well, it's pretty risky when it comes to runs, so I'm going to put a nice light coat on. Hopefully it'll cover pretty well. If it doesn't, then I'll go back and do a 2nd coat, planning on 2 coats. It would be nice to do it in 1, and if it looks like passably good in 1, then great. I won't go back, but probably going to need 2 here, and that's fine. Alright, so painting next, and then, yeah, decal time after that. Hopefully it'll be no runs. Alright, so thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.